Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 88. Nicky Billou. Serve, don't sell. Dial in your message. Own your value. Invest in yourself. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are with Nicky Billou. Nicky, welcome to the show.
Matt, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here, man.
Great to have you, and I'm going to actually let you just kind of introduce yourself here. You got a long bio, and I want you to just kind of encapsulate who you are, what you do.
Well, thank you. So, let me tell you a bit about my backstory. So I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm actually a Christian from Iran. And when I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution happened in Iran. And my late father, God rest his soul, he could see the writing on the wall, and he saw that this was not going to be the greatest place in the world for him to raise his family. So he bundled us all up and eventually got us out of Iran and to Canada. And I thank God every day for my father for bringing us away from tyranny and into freedom. Freedom's a very precious thing. And it's incredible that we have that here in the West. And I know it's very fashionable among certain circles to go around and say, oh my God, the West, America, so oppressive, so racist, so sexist. And here's what I have to say to that. That's a load of horse manure. This is the most tolerant place on earth. It's the most tolerant place in the history of the world. It's the only place where they look back at their past mistakes of how they treated people and they actually try to do something about it. They try to do better. Because I'll tell you, back home, people would double down on those mistakes. When I was 11 years old, someone threw a Molotov cocktail through our living room window with a note on it attached that said, "Die, Christian scum." My late father, he saw that land next to my feet. He grabbed it. He pulled out the burning wick, stomped it out, poured out the gasoline. If he hadn't done that, you and I would not be speaking here today. Freedom is precious. Wow. Freedom is valuable. We all need to appreciate freedom. I believe in freedom. I believe in free expression. I believe in free enterprise. And my late father, he was also an entrepreneur. He was the greatest man I know and have ever known. Dad, if you needed a job, Matt, and he had one for you, he'd give it to you. If he didn't have one for you, he'd help you get one. He'd phone around. He'd make sure you landed on your feet. If you were trying to get started in business, he'd help you get your start, even if you wanted to compete with him. If you worked for him and you were looking to buy a house, an apartment, a car, and you didn't have enough money, Dad would set you up. And you might be listening to this going to yourself, what? Houses, apartments, cars? Who does that? Well, my dad does that. Why would he do that? Well, first of all, he was a Christian. He believed he'd been blessed by God Almighty, and it was important for him to share those blessings with his fellow man. Secondly, though, he did it because he could. He had the wherewithal to be able to do it. He was a successful entrepreneur. And me, I wanted to be just like that, so I became an entrepreneur. But here's what I found out about entrepreneurs. They're good people. They want to make a difference, but they're scared. They don't want to come across like they're too pushy. They don't want to come across like they're salesy. They don't want to come across like they reek of commission breath. They want to come across like good, caring people. So I help these folks reframe selling to serving. Nobody wants to be sold, Matt, but everybody wants a caring person who has their best interest at heart. And my friend, that's what I really have helped so many good people do. This has helped them go from a tragic business to a magic business. This has added 100,000, 250,000, 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million to their business. And the other thing that a lot of good people don't know how to do is they're good people, but they love talking about themselves. That's everybody's favorite subject, and their message is a Mayo message. Oh, what do? I help people deal with overwhelm. I'm honest. Who cares? Nobody cares. You can't have a Mayo message. You need a direct message that's about solving a problem for people. What is business? Business is solving problems for people who have acute pain. That's it. That's all. Solving problems for people who have acute pain. So I teach people how to get a message. Instead of going, I help you deal with overwhelm, I'll go, oh, you're an entrepreneur. Okay. You have a $20 million company and you literally have no time. Your health's falling apart, right? Business is going great, but looks like the wife might be leaving. You know what we're going to do? We're going to turn all that around for you. You're going to be able to handle all of it. I'm someone who's a confidant to entrepreneurs. I help them deal with issues, and I am the one person that they can trust and talk to, because they sure as hell can't go to their employees and tell them what's going on in their world, and they can't necessarily go home to the family and tell them what's going on at the office. But this confidant situation, they can talk to a confidant. That makes a difference. It's kind of like being Tom Hagen in The Godfather to The Godfather. You know what I'm saying? So you might be really interested in having yourself a consigliere like that really help you deal with things. Instead of, I'll help you deal with overwhelm. No one wants that kind of thing. So when we help people get their message dialed in, life is good. And I'll give you an example of this young man. He came to work with us. Okay. His name was Dan. Dan was a personal fitness trainer, and he was a good kid, but he had no clients. He had 7 clients, I should say, and he was making less than $1,500 a month. Mom and Dad had to help him pay the rent. That's how bad it was. That was just, it was embarrassing for him. Mm-hmm. He came to us, and we said to him, so Danny, who do you work with? And he goes, I'll work with anybody. No. Who do you work with? No, anybody with a Walton Pulse. Yeah. No, that doesn't work. You got to narrow your niche. Okay. Well, my dad's a doctor. I work with doctors. Doctors have money. Doctors didn't really care about that. They have money. Wasn't a good message for them. I have money. That's no thanks, So then he goes, okay. I'll narrow my niche more. I work with cardiologists. Yeah, they got more money. Not a good message. Didn't work. Then he started working with this Afro-Cuban Paralympic athlete named Pepito Wilson. So Mr. Pepito Wilson had been missing a leg since he was a kid. He lost it in an accident. And he found he loved working with Pepito. And he said to me, Nicky, I love working with Pepito. I want to work with more people with missing limbs. So he started to do that. And I got to tell you, Matt, in 6 weeks, he signed up 400 clients. In 6 weeks, he signed up 400 clients. He could not do any more one-on-one coaching. He had to do group work. Why? Well, simple. Because his message wasn't a Mayo message. His message was, I'm going to train you. And imagine someone who is got a missing limb or two. They're probably not feeling great about that. Like, I don't know. I haven't been in that situation, but I'm surmising that it's not the greatest thing for them. And they're maybe thinking, I can't work out. I can't live life the way someone who has all their limbs can. And his message was, yes, you can. Let's work out. Let's get you strong. But the underlying message was, you're going to be just as good, just as capable, just as clear about your self-worth as an able-bodied person as any other human being. And that message just landed. That's what I'm talking about when I say no Mayo message. Have a dialed-in message for the right people. And that's what we show people, brother. That's how we do what we do.
Wow. That's a great message. Wow, there's some stuff to unpack there. So let's circle. I first of all, I just wanted to say that I appreciate you sharing your experience having left Iran and what your father did for you and recognizing that situation and getting you out of that situation. As an American, been here all my life in the upper Midwest, tucked away. We take a lot for granted, and to hear
that.
Yeah.
Every American needs to start appreciating their freedom, because if you don't, it will be taken away.
Yeah, it's shocking how many people don't appreciate it. But beyond that, just having somebody in your life like that, I think about role models and stuff, and who inspires somebody to become great themselves. And when that comes from family, when that comes from your father, that comes from somebody that you respect and has done a lot for people, and then him being the type of person that is very giving and cares about others, and you've obviously picked up that torch and are continuing that legacy, with that. So that's amazing. And, when you hear those type of stories, it's like, yep, that's why they are the way they are. That's why they're successful. They had a good foundation. So that's awesome. And, so when you moved, so where are you now? Where do you live in?
I live in Toronto,
the world.
Ontario.
In Toronto. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think it was the U.S. I was like, I don't think it's U.S., but it's Toronto. Yeah. So, not that there's anything wrong with Toronto. It's fine. We're actually close. We're up here in Wisconsin, so we're close there.
I love Wisconsin, man. You a Packers fan?
Yeah, of course. My wife is more of a Packers fan than I am. She's got she wears all the garb and green and gold.
Cheese hats, man. I love it. Yeah.
Cheese hats. Yeah, we got one of those sitting around.
I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers, man. That dude can play ball, and he's fearless in the rest of his life too. So God bless him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. We need to win another Super Bowl for him. Get another one under his belt.
Yeah, I watched the last game. I mean, he was unreal. He just picked apart that team's defense. He was unreal. Yeah. Man. The guy's something else. It was the Bears, right? He loves beating the Bears. Yeah, he's beat them a few times. Yeah, the record's pretty good against the Bears. So, that's awesome. And so now, so your journey, you came to America, you grew up, or came to Toronto, grew up, and, did you go to college and did all that stuff and got your education? Toronto. Did you have a graduate degree, and then I did my master's in the United States at a place called Georgetown University.
Oh, wow.
And, it was
and so what did that look like after that?
I got into the corporate world for a while, but I quickly realized this was not the place for me. But it took me 8.5 years to do something about it, so I stayed in corporate for a good long time. But the good Lord was letting me know this was not the path I was supposed to be on, and so the last company I worked with, he had it go bankrupt during the .com bust. In 2001, and that's when I started to work for myself. I got involved in partnership with a few guys. It was actually great. Best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah. Got into a partnership with a few guys. We started a business. It was a great experience, but it didn't end up working out. And then I started working for myself. I was a fitness coach to some of the most successful people in Canada. I worked with a lot of multi-billionaires, top real estate agents, folks like that. Really just took it to a whole new level, It was really cool
to
do all that.
Yeah.
But then I went through a divorce, and as I was going through that divorce, man, it was rough. Super, super rough. Yeah. I attended a talk this man was giving, and it really spoke to me. And I walked up to him and I said, his name was Bill. Bill, nice to meet you. Great talk. Think I need to hire you. He looked me over and he said, okay. It's going to cost you $5,000 for 5 hours of my time. I give no refunds. I make no promises. I said, oh, okay. And I said, I don't have $5,000. I mean, I was in a rough period. I was sleeping on my mother's couch, grown-ass man, 2 kids sleeping on his mother's couch. I was just not in a great place in life. And he said, I'm going to do you a favor, kid. I'm like, he's barely older than I am, but he called me kid, He said, kid, it doesn't matter how much money you have right now. What matters is, how bad do you want change? He said, if you want change, you will get resourceful and you will come up with the money. I did not like hearing that, but I said, okay, I hear you. Give me a couple days. So what I did was I got on the phone. I called up some people, and I was a fitness coach then. Mm-hmm. And there were some people who were hemming and hawing about whether or not to work with me. And I called them up. I said, I got good news for you. Great news. I need business, and you need to lose weight. So I'm going to give you the deal of the century, half price of what we talked about. But there's one catch. You need to answer me now, yes or no, and you need to pay me now as well, in full. So what's it going to be? And guess what? 2 people said, yeah, sure. They sent me $1,000 each. I'm like, great. I ran over to buddy, Bill. Bill, here's a couple grand. No. I said $5,000, said Bill. Got all indignant on me. And I'm like, okay, Bill. Besides, me, how many other people have you told this, delivered this little speech to, right? He goes, over the years, maybe 30, 40. I said, besides me again, how many others came back with any money? He said, you're the first. I'm the first. Okay, well, listen. Take my money. I'm going to sign a contract that I'll pay you the rest within 30 days or what have you. And he said, all right. So I paid him off within the 30 days. And
it was a good 5 hours
6 months, I made $100,000. I got a 20-fold return on that investment within 6 months. So, the listeners listen here. First of all, ROI is real important, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between spending and investing. You spend money on a nice trip. You spend money on, clothes. You spend money on toys for yourself. I'm a knife collector. I spend a lot of money on knives. But you invest money in yourself. What is the most important asset in your business, Matt? What is it?
It's yourself.
It's you. How much investment do you put in you? How much? Do you spend money on self-care, like, making sure you work out, you're healthy? Do you hire massage therapists and other people to, get the stress out of your body? Do you buy the very best food possible? Do you buy coaches and mentors, services to teach you what you need to do to improve? If the answer to that is yes, good, you're in the top, 2% of society. But if the answer is no, then that sucks. You ought to, invest in all of that. So one of my clients from when I was a fitness coach was the great writer Robin Sharma, the author of the legendary book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, which has sold 15 million copies. And Robin taught me something. He said to me, Nicky, if you ever want to double your income in any given year, triple your investment in personal and professional development. To double your income in any given year, triple your investment in personal and professional development. You think about that. So let's say you're a business owner and you own a $5-10 million company. And let's say your profits are $1 to $2 million a year. And you want to make those profits $4 million a year. Well, that won't just happen by osmosis. You got to get better. Don't wish the world was easier. Wish you were better. Wish you were better. Spend that money on you. Spend that money on becoming a better salesperson, becoming a more effective leader, becoming someone who can develop a culture. Spend that money on having a confidant. Spend that money on your health and fitness, going to the next level. Spend that money on de-stress. One of the best investments you can make is go get a massage twice a week, bro. You go get a massage twice a week, man. That'll de-stress you. You'll feel great. You'll be able to come and be there at your business with your family. I mean, those are incredible things you ought to do, right? And that's my thoughts on what needs to happen.
I laugh at that because I actually, before my wife, she actually knows her. She actually became friends with her too. But I dated a massage therapist for a while, and I never got a massage from her. I never get massages. Like, I don't know. I don't need a massage. But it's that is another powerful message, though. It's like I just had a guest on Mullings, and we talked about inner work in that. and how important that is for anyone in business. And it extends to personal development, physical and mental, right? And it's something that in my own life I've always it's probably taken 30 years for it to all sink in, but I've always worked, read and personal development books. I have worked out. I have done all those things. I took coaching years ago and throughout the years, but it is something I think that people overlook. I mean, you can think externally like, oh, it's got to be my team, or it's got to be something, and like I'm not targeting the right niche, or I'm not doing the right things in my business, or people just don't like me. But maybe they don't. But you have to work on yourself. And so that really resonates with me. I know will for a lot of people. I mean, people scoff at self-help and all that stuff. I know people that do. They're just like, that's ridiculous. They for whatever reason, they're happy with their, low par self today. They don't ever want to improve. Like, however they came out of the oven at like 18 years old, that's good. I'm good for the rest of my life. I don't have to sharpen my skills as a human being. Hang on one second. Sorry, everybody. I had to switch out my headphones. The battery died. But back to what we were talking about. So we're talking about coaching and stuff and how powerful that is. So, I mean, it's great that the other thing you were talking about was messaging. So that's something you help people with as well, which is something I personally have been working on a lot this past year or two, in my own business. And because of that work, I'm starting to see the results of that work, and people are seeking me out, and I'm getting a very specific type of client, better clients. When I started out my agency 4 years ago, I sold web design services. That's my message. But it has evolved from that to who we specifically serve and what the pain points we solve and all that stuff. And it is really, really powerful. It's something that I think a lot of people need to hear the message to work on the message.
1,000%, brother. You got to do it. You got to do it. 100%. Yeah. Like I was saying, people got to get resourceful. People got to have their message be fully dialed in. Like the story I told you about the young man who was a fitness trainer, right? Anyways, he did great, and anybody who gets their message dialed in powerfully will do great. The other thing, though, a lot of people undercharge. They undercharge. They sell based on what they think people are willing to pay. Right? They just go, okay, you know what, the market, that's what it's worth in the market, so that's what I'm going to charge, or this is what I think people will pay. They think their work is worth more, but they don't want to charge more, or maybe they don't think their work is worth more. But here's the deal. The way that you ought to charge is not based on the market or what you think people are going to pay. You should charge based on the value of the solution you provide. So, let's say your business is stuck at $2 million a year in sales, and has been for a couple of years. And let's say you need to double that. And, I come in and I show you how we can help you double that. If we're going to double your sales, and I come in with a ridiculously low price point, like $500, you're not going to take me seriously, right? People actually like paying. They like paying to solve a big problem, right? It gives them peace of mind. So if you were going to work with somebody who's going to help you double your business, and one guy came in and said, I'll charge you $2,000, and the other guy came in and said, I'll charge you $30,000, just based on the price point, which one would you think knows what they're doing?
$30,000. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Now, maybe it's true, maybe it isn't, but that's just how people think. So if you have a big problem to solve, you want the best, right? You don't want the best bargain. You want the best solution. And you're going to pay for the best solution. And that's how you got to be, right? So I had this client, his name was Chris, and he operated a acupuncture clinic in Manhattan, Chinese acupuncture. So Chris, good guy, really super guy, he didn't charge much, and he had A-list clients, like people like Robert De Niro as clients. You know what I mean? Dude had A-list clients, but he didn't charge enough, and he was making about 150 grand a year. You know, not bad, but you know, that's Manhattan, man. That's gone like that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Grand, you know. So I told him, look, dude, you got to 20-fold your prices. He's like, what? 20-fold my price? I can't do that. No one's going to pay. No. Nicky, forget about it. Listen, you got 20-fold your prices. He wouldn't do it. But finally, I persuaded him to 7-fold his prices. He 7-folded his prices, and he 20-folded the number of clients he got. It was insane. In 4 months, he made $1.2 million.
Wow.
$1.2 million.
That's a big jump.
That's a huge amount of dollars.
Yeah.
That's massive. Now, ask yourself this question, right? Are you charging enough? And as your listener, are you charging enough, listener? Or are you charging what you think the market's going to pay? And you know you should be getting more, but you're afraid because you think you'll lose the business.
Yeah.
So I teach people how to serve, not sell. I teach people how to get a dialed-in message so they can attract the people they want rather than being forced to knock and struggle. And I teach people how to own their value so they charge what they're worth.
Own
Those
their
are
value.
all powerful things. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Those two things, as I think back again, I'm not like, I'm still building my agency. We're in growth stage. I got a good team. We're building stuff. We're getting great clients, but I know I need to always improve, and maybe I need a coach. But the things you're saying with me resonates with me because it is the things that as I look back, besides like things like, I'll focus on networking and do that, whatever. In terms of what I think has lent to my success so far is certainly, especially in the last year or two, the message, but also pricing. And I've had a couple episodes on this podcast, solo episodes on pricing, because it has has changed everything for me. Cause I remember I've been doing web development for over 10 years now, as a profession, career, business. Did freelancing for a couple of years, lowballed everybody because I didn't feel like I was good enough. I didn't have, I didn't value my work. And I justify it like, I really wasn't good enough yet. I had a lot of experience to gain. And I worked for a corporation for 3-4 years, gained a ton more confidence, experience, became a much, much better developer, designer. And when I came out of that, I made a decision, that I would, it helped. There was a course I took back then too that talked about the same topic where it was like, it was talking to agencies and what we should charge. And like, you know what, I'm going to take a leap of faith here and I'm going to charge more. It was ridiculous. Even the hourly stuff, it was like, I'm not going to charge less than $40 an hour. That was a huge leap for me. And then, you know what happened? Well, I did do project stuff too, I wasn't going to charge less than $5,000 for this or whatever. I got that business like it was nothing. It was like butter. I'm like, that's weird. And then I upped it to 60. And I started getting that like it was nothing. And I kept upping it and I'm still upping it. But I would leverage that. I would grandfather people in and you just kind of, but people do pay those prices and you can talk yourself out of it thinking there's no one's going to pay, you don't value yourself really at the end of the day. And like, it's made all the difference, and it's given me the room to actually be able to grow a business and reinvest money and actually still have a profit this whole time. And, you know, so there's so many benefits, right?
Huge benefits, brother. Like, listen, first and foremost, like I said, you've got to be all about helping people. Business is about people. It's not about dollars and cents and all that. Yeah, you want to make money, absolutely. You know, that's part of it. But it's about people. You got to care about people. Like, people got to feel that you care. You know, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So show you care. Secondly, right, you got to own your price, man. You got to own, like, your value, and you got to put it out there, right? That's important. Because if you don't, you know, you're actually robbing people of the value of your solution, because, you know, they won't put in the effort needed to get the result they want if they don't value their investment. So look, everything I teach people is written in one of the books I wrote. Pretty much everything. It's all there. There's a blueprint. You can get that book for free. I have it as a free Kindle download. You can go to Amazon and spend $30. Up to you. So for free to $30, the whole system's there. Now, there have been a few thousand people that have gotten a hold of my book. Do you want to know how many of them made $1 million from that $0 to $30 investment?
Tell us.
0.
3? 0?
Nobody. Now, I've charged about 170 people somewhere between $50,000 and $200,000 to work with me to help them make that kind of money. Out of those 170, 11 made $1 to $38.5 million in profit, and another 70 plus made at least an extra $100,000 to $700,000-800,000. So let's say 80 and change. So 50%. 50% of the people that paid me big money made fucking 5, 10, 20, 100x, 1,000x in one buddy's case returns, right? Like, you know, that's the way you want it to be. When people pay, they take it serious. Like, I could have a conversation with you after this. You know, you say coaching, and I could tell you, hey, Matt, do this, this, and this. And you're a pretty sharp guy. You'd probably take some steps on it, right? But it's a conversation. There's only so much value you'll give the advice. But if you were paying me $50,000 to coach you, bro, you'd be at the edge of your seat. You'd go, okay, Nicky, come on, let's go, man, let's go. What the fuck? I got to get a return on this damn money, right? Let's go. What do I got to do? Let's go. You'd be like running, right? And that's the difference. Like, I have spent a couple $100,000 on my own personal professional development in the last few years. And every time that I went and I laid out my money, it was a big decision. You know what I mean? It was a big decision. It has to be, yeah. Right? But right now, bro, I make that money back in half a month. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the reason is because I made the decision to invest in myself and my business. So if your listeners listen to this and they're going, this dude Nicky, he's a little crazy, man. He's from Iran, man. He's got that big old Persian mustache going down over there. So what's he all about? But he seems to be making sense, man. Is he for real? Yeah, I'm for real. I'm telling you the truth. These are the things you got to do if you really want to win. And that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, I think investing in yourself is important. There's times, like for me, it's always a major decision because I got to protect my time, and because I already have a business that, you know, is growing. And so I had a YouTube guy this past year. I had, what was the other one, recently? Oh, it's podcasting actually, where they wanted to coach me and it was, you know, into thousands. And, it's not that it wasn't the money. It was just like, this isn't a good fit for me right now. I can't, I got to stay focused on what I'm focused on. This is our initiatives right now. That's okay. I want to grow my YouTube, but it's not the highest priority. But it's also this thing though over the years, and I've been on the web for 20 years and, was in the whole internet marketing scene in the 2000s. And even today you hear a lot about the coaches out there that, they read a book and now they're expert on things.
Oh, yeah.
You have to do your you have to do your homework.
Charlatan.
And
the charlatan market. Yeah. That's what I call them.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta be careful with those guys, and you have to do your research when you're going to work with somebody, and maybe even talk to people they've worked with to make sure you're investing your money in the right place, right? Do you got any advice around that and how to,
That's a great question, because I talk about that too. Like, beware the charlatan marketer. Beware the charlatan marketer. So I'll tell you a little story. Okay. This is just so classic, man. There's a woman who came to us, 2016. And at the time she was in her mid to late 50s. And she was a coach. She worked with people to help them solve like emotional knots. You know what I mean? That got in the way of like relationships, business, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Problem was that she was not good at getting business, and she had spent $125,000 on gurus, courses, ads, and programs. You want to guess what kind of return she got on that?
Probably negative return. Yeah. Yeah.
Her husband.
It's unfortunate. I laugh, but it's actually a serious
it's a fact.
problem.
It's a serious thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her husband went to her and said, "Honey, I love you. You're the best, but you're spending us into the poorhouse." Give me your credit cards, please. And she did, and she just laughed. She cried, and she was so upset because she knew she was good at what she did. And then, like, she knew us. So we invited her to come meet and talk. And anyways, because she knew us and we had a shared history, she trusted us. And she said, "Okay, listen, I'm trusting you. I'm going to go based on faith rather than experience, because my experience has been shit." and I'm trusting you. But she looked at me, she said, "This better work." And I just swallowed real hard. And I said, "Look, I can't make any guarantees. But what I can tell you is the methodology has worked for lots of people. And if you do the work, if you take one step, I'll take two. If you take 3 steps, I'll take 5. So, anyways, long story short is, her message was messed up. Like, everything was messed up with her. Her message was messed up. She wasn't getting in front of people to try and sell. She was trying to like hope for marketing, that the sales would somehow magically from the ether land on her. And I'm like, no, get on the phone, sit in front of people, find out what their pain points are, and then offer to help those who have the pain point that you solve. And I made her do it. So, anyways, she blossomed. She was using Infusionsoft, also known as Confusionsoft, back in the day. And so she showed me her kind of dashboard income from a year ago, which was $532. And then she showed me a year later, after a few months of working with us, she had $50,800 and change dollars there. She had literally 100x her income. 100x her income. And the reason she trusted us, because she knew us. So try and find people you know, or at least find people you know that have worked with them. Make sure that what they do makes sense and they have a track record of success. Make sure they're doing stuff that makes sense today. And they're not selling you sizzle. There's these people, "Oh, no, come work with me. Oh, your pain's here. Okay, come with me. I know your pain. I'll push your pain, blah, 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 blah." And then you bite in, and all there is sizzle. There's no steak. Your mouth burns. Like, what was that? You got to have someone give you steak. I give people steak. Steak. Good, juicy ribeye, brother. Medium rare. Salted with the perfect taste, man. Like, I'm telling you what. Like, so.
That sounds good. I'm salivating when you're talking. But you give them things to do.
Too.
You give them things to do, give them action.
People steak too, right? Yeah. Exactly. And you make them do it, man. You make them do it. Yeah. Look, let's say I was working with you. Let's say, again, you had a $2 million business. You want to go become a $5 million business. First thing I do is I find out what the heck you're doing to get business. And I just see are you using all the 10 channels for getting business? So there are 10 channels that I've identified for generating business. The first channel is obviously your warm market, right? People you know, your network. Second channel is referrals. And I don't mean passive referrals, like waiting for referrals. I mean asking for referrals. The third channel is podcasting. Since I've been on Podmatch, I've generated over $130,000 in sales from being guest on people's shows. That's right. The fourth is a book. I've written 8 books. I've published 8 books. I've actually written more. My books give me credibility, right? I also have my own podcast, and I've interviewed some huge names like John Maxwell and Jack Canfield, Marie Forleo, people like that. That gives me credibility. Then there's, speaking on stages. That's a channel that gets you business. Another one is strategic partnerships. Who could you be working with that works with the same kinds of clients you work with? And then the other one is appointment setters. You can hire professional appointment setters to set appointments for you for people. And then obviously picking up the phone and cold calling. So these are 10 channels. Now, most people I talk to go, well, I'm doing maybe one of these channels. One? Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how effective are your efforts? Well, they're like a 4. Oh. And you're wondering why your business isn't growing. Okay. Let's add at least a second channel right away, and let's get your efforts up to a 10. If your efforts are 4, that's bullshit, right? So we do that by itself, your business will grow. You know what I'm saying? So for me, even if your message sucks, if you speak to enough people, you'll get some. Now, if your message is great and you speak to enough people, you'll get lots of business, right? So that's the sort of thing that we work with people to do. We teach them what to do, and then we hold them accountable, because a lot of people need to be held accountable. Because on their own, they'll get a few no's. They'll go, oh my God, I got a bunch of no's. Let me go eat some bonbons. Let me do something in my business other than revenue generating activity. Right. So bullshit, man. Like you want to go from 2 million to 4 million. You're the number one salesperson the company has. I don't care if you have a sales team under you. You still got to be selling.
Yeah. Right. So that's where your value is. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Great stuff, man. I'm telling you, there's a lot of gold in this episode. We've talked for almost 45 minutes. I think this is a good place to start. There was some real gold at the end there. I could talk about that stuff too, like strategic partnerships and all the stuff that have made a difference in my business as well. And, but it's also that action piece. Because I know so many people, and I used to do some coaching back in the day as well. I don't go to real coaching today, but that was one of the things that was a real challenge for me, because you have to have somebody not only that listens and hears and shows up to, consume your content. They have to take that content and actually transition it into an action item to actually do the work. And that's challenging. And that's where the tens of thousands of dollars in investment in yourself racks up and nothing ever happens. But yeah, good stuff. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you and find you on the interwebs, where do they find Nicky?
Look, there's all the social media, Nicky Billou. You can find me on a ton of it. I'm also on the free speech platforms like Rumble and Getter and Parler and all those guys, and Signal and Telegram too. But the best way, if you're a business owner, is to go to my main website, which is eCircleacademy.com. There's a ton of free resources there. But there's also a button that goes book a success call. And so if you own a business and you're stuck in any way and you want to have an honest to goodness conversation about what's having you be stuck, what's it going to take to get you unstuck, or maybe you're not stuck, but you just want to accelerate things for yourself, go use that button, book a call. It's free. And, I promise I'm not going to sleazy sell you, man. We're just going to have a real honest conversation about life, about business, about what it's going to take to win. And we'll take it from there. That's the best way.
Fantastic. Well, let's end there. Thanks for joining us, Nicky.
Thanks for having me.
You take care. Thanks, Builders Crew.
That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you are interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.